God loves drama. I think the whole idea of the play originates out of the mind of God because what we see here in this gospel passage is high drama. It's like a one-act play, and it is deep, and it is profound. We see Jesus. He tells his disciples to go into a boat down in the sea. But he goes up into the mountain to pray alone. What a contrast. Here's Jesus praying alone. And down below, again, he sets all this in motion. His disciples are trying to cross the lake. It's only 5 miles wide, but they're at it all night because the winds were contrary to them. Do you ever feel like the winds are contrary to you? Yeah. And it must have been a fearful thing, and they were probably afraid for their lives. You know, their boat could capsize, and they're afraid to begin with. But then they see Jesus walking on the water. Now, if you heard me preach before, I always seem to come back to this imagery. You all know, don't you, that the watery deep is a symbol of chaos in the Bible. It's a symbol of death, the subconscious realm of death. And its sea monster is the personification of this death. It's a scary thing the sea was to the ancients. The Hebrews pretty much kept away from the Mediterranean Sea. Now, they knew something. By the way, this was the Sea of Galilee. Now, they knew something, though. They saw Jesus walking on the sea. This says something about Jesus because they knew their scriptures. In the book of Job, in Job chapter 9, Job is in dialogue with one of his friends, and he says this. He says what everyone knew, that it is he, i.e. Yahweh alone, who stretched out the heavens and tramples upon the waves of the sea. What it means is only God can tread upon chaos. He can master chaos. And not only that, it's only God that can crush the head of the great sea serpent. This is from Isaiah 27:1. In that day, the Lord with his hard and great strong sword will punish Leviathan, the fleeing serpent, Leviathan, the twisting serpent, and he will slay the dragon that is in the sea. Another name for Leviathan is Yam, which is the name for sea. Now, they see Jesus walking on the water. It's deep into the night, close to morning. They're already afraid for their lives. And I just love this. They see a form coming at them. And their response is unguarded, spontaneous eruption of terror. I'd love to be there to see that. The disciples are screaming in fear. They say it's a phantasma. That's the word we get phantom from. And given their state of mind, by the way, it sounds a little superstitious, doesn't it? Given their state of mind, maybe they thought that this form was the dragon coming up out of the sea to devour them. Again, this is unorthodox, but, in the heat of the moment, what would we think in a situation like that? Well, Jesus says, take heart. And the Greek reads, ego eimi, I am. And they would have understood that to mean, Echya in the Old Testament. I am Yahweh. Do not fear. I'm the one that can tread upon chaos. Now, Peter takes the stage here, and I love his response. He moves directly from terror to a question. He says, if it's you, Lord, can I come out? Why would he say something like this? I believe that he wants to do only what God can do. I think he wants to walk on chaos. You tell me, how often do you feel like chaos is walking on you? Do you feel trampled? Or in the imagery here, do you feel like the waves are always thrashing on you? Well, here Peter wants to walk like God. And what does Jesus say? Come. And he does. We don't know how far he got on the water, walking on water, but he was really doing it until, of course, we all know, he started looking at the wind and the waves, and he started to think. How about us? I mean, think of the chaos that's around us. Maybe some of you are working with crumbling relationships. Perhaps your finances feel like they're pulling you down. Some of you are struggling with addictions of all kinds. Chaos has entered into your life, and you're out of control. Failing health, aging. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And we fight, but, we feel overwhelmed. I remember in the year 2008, when everything started crashing around in the economy, it just so happens that in God's play in my life, I was out of work. My wife was. I had 2 teenage kids that were really young in their teenage years at that time. And I actually faced this possibility. I might be homeless. And what did I do? I started sinking. I said, Lord, save me. And he did. He reached out his arm, but do you know what I think he told me? Oh, ye of little faith. Told me the same thing he told Peter. Oh, ye of little faith. What is Jesus saying? He's saying that faith is power. Faith is looking Jesus in the face when chaos breaks out all around us. Faith is what binds us to the eternal. When bound to the eternal, we walk like God. We are like God, and we act with power. Again, let me ask you, do you find yourselves tossed about in the watery deep? What are your fears? Whatever they are, do you know what Jesus is saying right now to you? Come. Walk on the water. Walk to me. You see, just as Jesus created this one scene play, he's created a drama in your life. Oh, true, we add the drama, right? We can in our own way, but you know something? God is writing your drama. Your story is your drama. And it's not God's will for you to sink in the waves. It's God's will for you to look deeply into the eyes of Jesus, into the face of God, and tread on chaos. Let me go back real quick in conclusion. How did it all start out? God on the mount, Jesus in prayer alone, the disciples below. The more time we spend on the mount of prayer, the more we get used to seeing Jesus' face in our day-to-day lives. You may say, oh, Father John, nothing you're talking about applies to me at all. My waters are calm. Oh yeah, it may be now. But storms always blow up. The more time you spend with the Lord in prayer, the more you look into his faith, the more equipped you're going to be. And I preach this to myself too, to walk on water.